Welcome to the Coop Tank. I'm your host, Steve Cooper, coming to you from SuiteRecording in beautiful Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And I'm here with my producer, Joe Gangemi. How you doing, Joe?
Yo, Coop, what's going on, brother?
So it's good. So it's the weekend. So I know you're a big pizza guy, and I was in Chicago a while ago, and I thought their pizza sucked. It took forever to cook, and you just can't eat it more than once. What kind of pizza do you like?
Well, Coop, I'll tell you, it's not technically pizza. Like some people would be pretty mad if they heard me call it pizza, but it's tomato pie. My favorite place is DiLorenzo's Tomato Pies in Robbinsville, New Jersey. It's the best pie in town, in the state,
Okay,
in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
That's good, and that's the best pizza place to you. But you know, the best recording studio to me is SuiteRecording. So why don't you tell me a little more about this place I love?
Oh, absolutely, Coop. It's always great to have you here. At SuiteRecording, we help brands and businesses to leverage the power of podcasting and YouTube and just really video and audio content in general to generate quality content for their businesses and to really reach their audience in a fun and unique way. We can help with everything from planning your content all the way through to, of course, recording it and producing it and even publishing it. So if you're interested in learning more, you can contact us anytime at at hello@suiterecording.com or visit us on the web at suiterecording.com. That's SUITE. Take it away, Coop.
All right, we have a great show today. We have some people, and my first guest, you know, I actually had to write his name down. I kept screwing it up, and it's funny. I sent him an email a few weeks ago, and I was confirming the show, and I called him Frank, and he sent me an email back going, well, I think you have the wrong person. But from DeGerolamo Financial Strategies, it's Anthony D. I got it right?
You did.
All right. See that? And next from COFCO, a Hendrickson company, we have Bob Batley. How you doing, Bob?
Nice. Great to be here, Steve. Thanks so much.
And finally, from Mr. Appliance, my buddy Heather Jones. How are you, Heather?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. Okay, so Anthony, tell us a little about what you do.
Well, I'm a certified financial planner, been doing this for about 30 years, and I have found that the best avenue for me is to help people via education. So I provide information for people to help them put their financial affairs in order, whether it could be retirement planning, could be anything in general. But people are more interested in having information so they can make an informed decision. And I found by running my business that way, I'm actually helping my prospective clients towards their financial goals.
Okay. Now, how about Bob? Well, tell me more about COFCO.
Yeah, COFCO, a Hendrickson company, is the largest all-steel dealer in the country. We are a commercial furniture dealer. So we are putting furniture in offices, healthcare, law offices, higher ed, and those places. And much like Anthony, we have found the secret of our success is the same way. We are consultants almost more than salespeople. We are trying to help people get back to work and figure out the best way to do that.
Okay. How about you, Heather? Tell us a little about Mr. Appliance.
We are residential and light commercial appliance repair, servicing mainly Camden County and Philadelphia County. What sets us apart, to me, is our customer service. We put our customers first. We know that their time is valuable, that they want a professional service with trained technicians, ones that have been put through background checks, because your safety is our top concern. And right now we have a 5-star Google rating with 40 reviews. So we're very happy with the customer service we're providing.
Okay, good. Well, no, it's funny. When I put this panel together, you're all so in different areas. Like it's not like, you know, when I put a panel together, I'm like, okay, well, there's someone from financial. I can't have someone from financial. And that's what I like, is because you're all like across the spectrum. I mean, it's just totally different. And whenever I do that, and what always fascinates me about people is their story and how they ended up where they are. You know, and when there's sometimes it's, you know, a lawyer, you know how a lawyer ended up where they are because they went to law school. And a lot of times they had different law. But Bob, how did you end up at this job? And like, what was your path to get to where you are now?
Yeah, I have a really mixed up path. It was a curvy road for me. I owned, operated, and developed restaurants for about 20 years out in the Chester County area. And so I ran restaurants, nightclubs, those types of pieces. When I decided to give up my summer job in my mid-40s, I decided that I should head off, and I did commercial construction for some friends of mine there. And so for the next decade, I did commercial construction in the area. And then when it was time for me to make a move, I really wanted to reach out, and culture became my big thing. I was sort of tired of just working for, a job or what that was and goals. And so I really wanted to work for some people that I really admired. And so it was sort of good timing. COFCO was looking for someone to head up what's called the architectural products or the construction side of their business. And I was looking, and it was just a great culture of what I was looking for. And we can dive into that as we go. You'll hear a lot of that as I go through this, I'm sure, today.
Okay. How about you, Heather? Because, I came to your ribbon opening, and I got a little story from your husband. Your husband was a mechanic, right? And
Yes.
yeah. And so how did you end up running Mr. Appliance? What was your steps to take it? Because it's very entrepreneurial. It's something you don't hear a lot about.
So I started off with a product-based business and knew that I wanted to go into service and be able to incorporate my family in, for a small family-run business. So I come from an accounting background. My husband comes from a repair background. So we merged the two and started Mr. Appliance.
Okay. How about you, Anthony? What got you into the financial game?
Well, let's see. I was probably in my early 30s. I was a commercial loan officer for a regional bank. And back then, as you remember, banks were consolidating. And I started seeing peers that are in their late 50s getting laid off. And it was the mindset of these guys where I'm too young to retire and I'm too old to get hired by anybody. And they were left in limbo. And I said to myself, I can't be one of these guys. I can't put my blood, sweat, and tears in an organization that maybe in 15 or so years, they knock on my shoulder and say, next. So I had, being in commercial lending, a lot of my clients, businesses, obviously, they always were picking my brains, whether it was a deferred compensation conversation or 401k or general planning or anything like that. So I thought I really got along well in that industry, and I enjoyed doing that. So I went and thought, for somebody to do business with me, just like if you go to a dentist, you want to have them be a DDS or a lawyer with the right credentials. I wanted to make sure I had the right credentials to get into the, financial service industry. So I took my CFP training and got my designation. And then part of that was I had to do continuing ed credits. I was at a dinner for continuing ed, met a gentleman, long story short, told him what I was looking to get into. He said, well, come work, come kick the tires with us. I kicked the tires with them. And 30 years ago, I segued from commercial banking into the financial services industry and went from there.
All right. See that everyone does have a story. Now, a lot of times we talk about mentors, and we always have mentors, but a lot it's a lot of times it's one of those overused words. Like, oh, you hear someone in conversation, my mentor. It's like, it's someone who influenced you. It's someone who had an influence, and like your mom has an influence on you, but she's not a mentor. She's your mom. But it's one of those words that people use a lot. So on that train of thought, we'll start with you, Heather. Who is someone who's been important in your life? It could be for lately to get in your business world or just for becoming the person you are. And don't use your parents. I know our mom's always important. My moms are important. You can't, because that's the easy way out. But like I've had a high school teacher who helped me to be creative and got me into, knowing I can write funny stuff. But Heather, who's someone who's been important to you that you look back and you go, I'm really glad that this person stepped into my life?
You took away my answer. Of course, I was going to say my father, who was a very hardworking, blue collar, patriotic man. So I'm sorry. I know you said
Tell us more about your father.
I'm gonna have to go.
Tell us more about your father. Why he inspired you.
He was a union iron worker who never made excuses, who, always stepped up and sacrificed for his family. He taught me that you have to do the hard work. You have to do the hard work no matter what. You have to show up. You know, he worked hurt, he worked sick, because he had a family to provide for. And he was just a huge role in you know, forming, you know, my work ethic and you know, my stick to itness.
Okay. That's good. That is that generation. They did work their asses off. They never missed work. It was unbelievable. How about you, Bob? Who's someone who's and you know, if you could say your mom or your dad if you want. You know, by the way, Heather, I said don't say your mom. So your dad was okay. But so no, Bob, tell us someone.
Nice loophole, Heather. Heather. I like that. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think early on, there was a restaurant owner who owned restaurants that I worked for, and he really straightened out what I learned in business school versus what the real life is, and sort of helped merge those things together. So he was really eye-opening, just around what customer service meant, what long-term decisions mean versus short-term decisions, and how you actually service and do a small business. He was super important. I think the other person I would say really quickly is I came to COFCO for really two people. One is the owner, who now has actually merged the business and had been acquired. So she's now our GM, but Joan Waters. Working for a woman is spectacularly great. I highly recommend it. It is, you know, I don't know why it hasn't happened more sooner, and I would just recommend it highly. It is just a total game changer, and it is just an unbelievable culture and where we are. So I would say she has taught me a lot.
That's good, you know, and it is working. They don't have the ego. They don't have the ego that guys have. That's my feeling. It's nothing, but it's something that they're you know, because they don't get respected as much, and that's sad. It's sad in this day and age that they don't, because I grew up with, my mom was a Temple University graduate in 1952, only woman in her marketing classes. So I grew up with a mom who had a job at Campbell Soup before she graduated. So I know what you're talking about, and you know, but it was different, you know, and it's like, people don't look. I look at it as anyone as a business owner, not like a female business owner, but it's something that I think they don't have the ego. But Anthony, so who's someone who really meant something to you?
Well, this is going to come from a different perspective, and the answer is me. I became my own mentor, basically because I had my own interest at heart. I found out in business, whether it was banking or insurance or other financial services, there were always people that were willing to put their arm around you, but they wanted to control you. They wanted you to sell a certain thing a certain way, or they expected you to be a yes person. And if you didn't agree with them, they would try to retaliate. I got to the point saying, well, who's going to look out for Tony other than Tony? And I became my own mentor. I did my own homework. I held myself accountable. I took some training sessions, whether it was a Sandler training course or similar type of things that held me accountable. And I always found that for me, it was always something about people that, well, what's in it for them? So I had never in my life met somebody who said, you know what, Tony, you're 30 years old. I'm 63. I'm going to retire in a couple of years. Let me groom you. I have no skin in this game. I just want to help you along. I want you to, you know, accomplish what you want to accomplish. Nothing. They always had their own agenda. And I got to the point where I was either going to be my own person or I was going to let them control me. So I became my own mentor, and I did my own homework and held myself accountable. I know that's hard to do, but it was either I had to succeed or I was going to fail.
Okay, well, we're going to stay with you for this next question because you said held yourself accountable. And I got to ask you, in the morning when you get up, you can you know, have a crappy nightmare, you may have a shitty day the day before. What motivates you in the morning when you get up? You know, and sometimes there's a thing where you wake up and the bed's warm and you're like, all right, and you're playing words with friends on your phone or you're doing your Wordle and you're like, I don't want to get up. But Tony, what motivates you in the morning?
I do like Wordle, by the way. That is, I think that it's just my makeup. It's been ingrained. It's just like, you know, routine, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I'll get up every day around 5:45. I'll watch the morning news, have a cup of coffee, make sure that the animals are taken care of. I'll come, I'll go, I work most of the time out of home now. I'll come upstairs, I'll do my emails, and then take the dog for a walk and then do that. But what really motivates me is I like talking with people. I like helping people. And I like the fact that I'm no longer involved with office politics. I can go and do my thing for my clients, my prospective customers, go out and network. It's just, you know, it's going to sound stupid, but I'm just too old anymore to give a damn. So in other words, I just want to, I'm doing what I want to do and I'm enjoying myself. And that's what gets me up and motivated. I just, you know, get up and enjoy the day and get out and do your things. And the days just go by. So it's all good.
It's funny when you said that you're just getting too old to give a damn. There was a movie years ago with Kurt Russell called Used Cars. And the one guy would always say, Rudy, I'm getting too old for this shit. So
You know who said
Bob,
that?
Who said that?
Who said that?
Well, I don't know. Who?
Jack.
Jack Palance. No, Jack, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the other, I can't think of his name. That's going to wake me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. There's a reason that I'm going to have to get up early tomorrow. Anyhow, go ahead.
Okay, Bob, what motivates you in the morning?
Yeah, I started with team sports when I was young, played through college, soccer, and so I am sort of at a team. So it's fascinating hearing Tony you talk, because I think you and I sort of come from differently, which makes it interesting to me. So my team totally motivates me. I've got some really young, really interesting talent and some really experienced people. Rarely have I done anything that is just me. I'm usually part of some sequence of something that's happening. So to me, making sure that's moving and going well is, I truly enjoy that challenge every day.
Okay. How about you, Heather? What motivates you in the morning?
Well, I would guess it would start with being a wife and mother. I have, we have a schedule we have to stay on. I have lunches to pack and people to get out the door, so I can move on with my day. I'm also on day 41 of 75 hard, so I have to get in all of my, my 2 workouts and day and everything. So I don't like being behind in my schedule. So I want to make sure, getting everything finished so I can leave for the office and make sure that, the team's set up for the day and ready to go.
I can never do 75 hard because there's no way I'm taking that cold shower. Screw that, man.
There's no cold shower.
I thought there was a cold shower.
No.
You must have a different one. Jeff Harris did a cold shower a few years ago.
Oh, no, that's not, it's the 2 workouts, one outside, the gallon of water, no alcohol, a diet, and 10 pages a day.
Well, they used to have a cold shower. You asked the Tim Jennings,
Okay.
I'll tell you. Okay, so let's talk about business. When you're dealing in the business world, let's say you think you're going to get a deal, or you're looking forward to something happening, and it doesn't come through. And you're disappointed. And, people never admit that they get disappointed. No one says, oh, I was really disappointed. I remember I had a call back for a commercial in LA and I thought I was going to get it because I knew the director and I didn't get it. And I was disappointed. And it really, I felt like crap. I sat there, it's like in college when you break up with a girlfriend and you're like, oh, you're sitting there in the room, you're listening to Chicago, every time you go away or some bullshit, But how do you deal, Bob? How do you deal when something disappointing happens in your workday? And it can be as trivial as, maybe a coworker being curt with you, but how do you deal with disappointment? Because for me, it shows in my face and I'm bad at getting over it. But how do you deal with it?
So yes, I think a couple of things, and I think it depends on the level of disappointment, right? Like I'm in a business where if we win 40% of the work we're pursuing, that's, we're Hall of Famers kind of stuff. So we get a lot of that kind of stuff. But I think in general, it's the same thing. If it's personal, it's my wife will ground me. If it's business or anything big, I have a group of very close friends I've known for 40 years. And they never let me get too high or too low. They sort of keep me pretty guided. And our team here at COFCO, they are amazingly good people. and we sort of help each other go. If one of us is down, one of us is usually going, and so someone's either slapping them back and going. The wrong comment and my facial expression, Steve, if you figure that out, help me. I'm not sure I've solved that one yet.
Okay, yeah, I think that happens to all of us. How about you, Anthony? What do you do when there's a disappointment?
So first off, Jack Warden, I believe, is the character.
Yes.
Okay. So, like Bob, I use analogy of baseball, and if a Hall of Famer is a guy who bats lifetime 333, which means 2 times out of 3 you're struck out. So my attitude is, okay, if I'm getting 1 out of 3, I'm a Hall of Famer type of guy. And sometimes you don't get any out of 3. Sometimes you do 3 out of 3, but on balance, if I get 1 out of 3, I'm good. I used to worry about this stuff when I was younger. I'm at the point now, I have a lot of confidence. I realize, and if it's not a good fit, whether the client or prospect believes it is or isn't, life goes on. If I found that if you try to force it to happen, it usually backfires and becomes more aggravation, and you regret you even, went that far into it. So I don't really, if I don't get some business, okay, and next, and take it from there. I'm not trying to be cavalier about it, but I'm fortunate enough that I don't have to, oh my God, if I don't do this case, I don't eat this week. I don't have that. And I think it comes across better for me. I actually think I do more business because people realize I'm not trying to push, and therefore they're more comfortable. And actually, it helps me close more business. So I try to not let lost business or things throw me off my game, I guess is the better way of saying it.
Okay, how about you, Heather? How do you deal? Because you have a newer business, so I mean, how is
Yes.
it like when something goes wrong? Like you think you're going to get a client, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I mean, how do you deal with the disappointment?
Well, every day is different. One day you feel like, everything's on track, and then the next day, the bottom drops off. It's ups and downs. But I try to focus, review the situation and see what can I have done differently? What, control the controllables. Could I have done something differently, or the team, do something differently to not lose that customer or that job? Because we deal with customers who call and cancel an appointment. We can't control that. If they had something come up in their life, that's not something that we can control. But we can control marketing, networking, that sort of thing. So I try to focus on what we can control on our end, and see if we need to make changes.
Okay, so I was having a coffee with this gentleman a few weeks ago. Very nice guy. We're working with a similar company, and he said, what I like about you, Steve. And I said, oh, tell me what. And he said, you have credibility. And I haven't heard that before, but he goes, you have credibility. And he said, that's an important strength to have. And I really took that as a compliment because once again, it means people don't think I'm full of shit, which, I just, because that's something I hate about people. But what's a strength that you have that you're very proud of? Anthony, what's a strength do you think you consider one of your strengths that you sit there and it makes you proud and happy that, you have that strength or that characteristic?
I would say confidence, which results from my years of experience and my level of education, that I'm able to stay in my lanes, is trying to not be all things to all people, and stay where what I'm good at doing, and have the knowledge and the fortitude to do it. So I think confidence, the old adage when we all got in the business, fake it till you make it nonsense. Well, I don't need to fake it. And I just think that's my strongest suit right now, that I have that confidence, knowing that my knowledge and expertise is of value.
Okay. How about you, Heather? What's a strength you possess that makes you proud? And be pleased. Just you can. And this is the thing where I say you can brag. That's the thing. We'll get to LinkedIn later. Everyone's bragging on LinkedIn. Everyone's humble bragging on LinkedIn. They're all half of them are full of shit. But this is a point where you can brag. So Heather, I know you're a quiet person. You're very nice, and but brag. What's a strength that you have that makes you proud?
The first thing that comes to mind, I would have to say, is whether I'm nervous, scared, unknowledgeable about a topic, I'll jump in anyway and figure it out later. Not being afraid to just give it a try, jump in there. I would say that's probably the biggest thing that's helped me in starting a business. I committed to it and then said, we'll figure out the rest as we go.
Okay. How about you, Bob?
Yeah, I think what I really enjoy about myself is I have a trigger somewhere that I love to learn. I've been in 3 totally different industries, and I've walked in those industries at different pieces of my career, and I have easily not been the smartest person in the room. And I've just really enjoyed the process of learning, whether that's book smarts, Google, friends, network, whatever that is. So to me, I enjoy the learning piece of what I can do.
Okay, we're going to stay with you. You said a strength, and for me, like a weakness of mine is I'm an awful procrastinator. I'm anti-procrastinator. It's awful. Like I sit there. My wife told me to clean the closet. I have a bunch of crap piled up, like pants and all this stuff, and I did the first half of it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I'm like, maybe if I don't do it, she won't notice. It's like I never procrastinate. Like, oh, they won't notice if I do that. So that's one of the things. That's one of my weaknesses. But Bob, what's a weakness that you have that you know of? And you should change, but for some reason you haven't.
Yeah. I'll give you 2 because
Okay.
this is a much easier list to hit. One is work-life balance. I am horrible at it, and I need some mentorship. I have never figured out how to do both. And we didn't have kids, my wife and I, so maybe that's the reason. If I had kids, maybe that would have been the trigger to make me figure that out. I think the other person is I am usually saying something or responding something smarter in 24 hours than in 5 minutes. And I have a huge urge to say something in 5 minutes to respond to a question or whatever. So if I can get that pause, that break, I am usually a better human.
Explain that to me, the 5 minutes. I don't understand the 5 minutes and 24 hours.
So you may come to me and have a problem, have an issue or whatever, and I will respond to you, and that's fine. It may be a heated discussion. I tend to get pulled into things when things are not going well. And if I can give myself some space and really think about what is being said, what the angle or the issue is really happening, usually it's the issue behind the issue, I can respond a lot better. But if you get me, but you get me in a moment, I may come back and be like, Coop, what do you mean? Like, we did what we said we were going to do, kind of thing. So I always like to find a little extra space in my response.
Are you a Scorpio?
No, I'm a Cancer.
Okay, it sounds like a Scorpio. That's like you bitch. You go
Yeah,
So Anthony, what's something a weakness that you consider a weakness that you sit there and you've either overcome or you feel it's still there?
Lack of patience, not necessarily with people as much as just technology, I guess the better thing. I get such a pet peeve when I have to log into a site to get information for a client, and all of a sudden it says, oh, we have to text you a code to double check. And I'm sitting there saying, you have this dual verification. You're so concerned about, privacy issue. And then later on, I'll see, oh, so-and-so company, 500,000 subscribers or 30 million members had their information stolen. And it's a pet peeve. It's annoying. It's a nuisance for me. And I still have trouble being impatient with it. Like, I need to get that information. Stop wasting my time. Or you get the spinning wheel, on that. So that stuff really, because it prevents me from doing my job as efficiently as I like to do at certain times. I have to overcome it. I don't control it. What am I going to do? Yell at a machine? But I do feel better when I yell at a machine. So
Oh,
that's
I've yelled at my computer.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
What? My wife's like, what's wrong? I'm going, I can't get on. This internet sucks. She goes, it's fine for me. I'm like, be quiet.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just say you get all, and then you look at it, you go, why am I so pissed off? It's like you said, it's a machine. Heather,
Right.
what's a weakness that you have?
Well, I, like Anthony, also have a little trouble in the patients department. But other than that, I would say being the face of our business. I'm more wanting to be the behind the scenes person, not a fan of being on social media, that type of thing. So I would say, yeah, more of um, a shyness type. I'm lacking the words right now to describe it, but I need to work on you know, being the face of the business that I need to be, and not hiding behind the business in the back office.
Okay, I'll be the face of your business. It could be Mr.
There you go.
Appliance's buddy Coop. Mr. Appliance's
And you could
buddy
wear-
Coop. That's what we can do. I'm
And
glad
you
to
could
do
wear
that.
Linda's shirt that you're wearing.
Exactly. I'm wearing Linda Milano's shirt. So last 2 years, after we came to after the pandemic, everything's, we had to get back to, we're getting back to the normal. And still sometimes we're not back to normal, but in the last 2 years, and this can be personal or professional, and we'll go with you, Bob. What's an accomplishment in the last 2 years that's made you proud? Like me, I'm proud because I'm back going to the gym. I go to the treadmill. I said 5 days a week. I'm going 6 or 7 days a week. And because I wanted to lose a little weight because I was looking like a thick neck, and I don't want to look old. And sorry, because I'm vain. But Bob, what's something an accomplishment that makes you proud?
So, especially coming out of COVID, I feel like I can remember, Coop, we literally, I think the February of 2020, we got a full lesson on how to use Zoom. And when I went back to the office 6 months later, there was a whole, manual on how to use Zoom on our desk that basically we left that day. And so using technology and connecting over Zoom is really difficult. And I feel like I have overcome some of that just because we have to learn to do this now. This is part of our lives and we have to do it. I do much better in person. I think much better live networking is way better than this. But I think through COVID, we have learned some technology pieces. So to me, I am totally in Anthony's camp around the frustration around technology. But I think it made me younger just to figure out how to use it.
Okay, it's funny about Zoom is though, we've been doing it for all these years, and there's still those people who are always on mute, like they still haven't figured it out. It's like, and you're like, you're on mute. Tony, what's an accomplishment in your last 2 years that you've really that's something that makes you proud?
Well, like Bob, utilizing digital media, Zoom, Teams, whatever it may be, has made me become more efficient in my business. I didn't realize how much time I wasted pre-COVID, driving here, driving there, at an office, conversations, this and that. I accomplished more in 5 hours a day than I used to do in 9. So that makes me happier because I make more money. I'm not spending as much time. I have a better life work balance. I get to play golf more often. And so I think, as Bob is, be able to step into the 21st century and realize that, this works. A lot of people like to do this if they want to meet face to face, and we meet face to face. But I noticed that I've cut down a lot of face to face meetings. I cut down a lot of networking groups that just weren't really working, and allowed me to be more efficient and embracing technology.
Okay, and the good thing about Zoom, and this is before I ask you, Heather, this is a good thing about Zoom is if you get a Zoom meeting like a one-on-one, and you don't really like the person, you can bail quick. But if you go and meet them for coffee, you're screwed. Like you have to drink that whole cup of coffee. And you're like, I just wasted $3 to drink coffee with this asshole, and you're sitting there going, this is just not good. So, Heather, what's an accomplishment that you are very proud of? And I'm probably because you started a business must be one of them. But tell us about why that's such an accomplishment, or if that's your biggest accomplishment, why it's an accomplishment.
I would say starting this business, but I feel like maybe I have an opposite opinion. I didn't allow COVID to make me isolate or, withdraw or stick with Zoom. I, connected more outside, and I would say just pushing forward even under scrutiny of others, and suggesting, why would you want to start a business in this time? And so I thought it was the perfect time to start a business because of that.
Okay. So you're all doing well in your lives. I can tell you're all happy. You're all smiling. You're not bitching. You're not moaning. And we're all getting older. That's every year you get older. That's, I sit there and go, wow, man, my life's, I'm going to die soon. Well, not soon, hopefully, because I don't want my wife to, marry a real young, good looking guy, because that would get me jealous. But, what is success at this point in your life, Anthony? What is success to you as you sit down right now, and it changes over the years? But what is success to you?
To do what I want when I want to, without not having to worry about what somebody's going to think of me, or I have to report to somebody, or I have this to do or that to do. I want success is I'm able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. If, in other words, if the day turns out, 2 days out, the weather's going to be nice and I want to go play golf, I just go play golf. To me, I'm at that stage of my life where it allows me to do that, not with, oh my gosh, I have to work Monday through Friday, blah, 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 and press the flesh. So success to me is doing what I want when I want to do it and be comfortable with it.
Okay. Heather, what's success to you?
Success to me would be to help, with my family. Set my kids up for the, a good path for success. My daughter is an art student and going to college right now. She's going to need help with that student loan debt. So of course I'd like to help her out. My son is going into the trades and love to help him with trade school, and set me and my husband up to be able to do, like Anthony said, what we want when we want, but also getting involved with the community and helping other local nonprofits to also support our community.
Okay. How about you, Bob? What's success to you now at this point in your life?
Yeah, I think giving back and paying it forward is sort of two big words in my world. Like, I would love to do that. I was so lucky to have so many people keep me on the rails as I, went through most of my career. And so whether it's board work, which I do a lot of nonprofit board work, or whether it's, people in my team and my company that I'm helping, or whether it's just helping around the family, how do I pay forward whatever knowledge and mistakes I've made that I've figured out answers to? How do I pay that forward? If I'm doing those things during the day, I'm pretty happy and feeling pretty good about what's happening in life.
Okay. So I've met you all through networking. We talked about networking in person, networking Zoom, and, I get out there and I like to network. I don't go out as much as I used to. Because I think like Anthony, there's some things it goes from, are we networking or is this a social event? And I'll be honest, if I'm going to do a social event, I'd rather sit by myself at a dive bar and watch a basketball game or a baseball game and drink a beer. That's just me. I go to Splits where I do my happy hour at, and they have, during Phillies games, they have $1 hot dogs and $2.50 Yinglings. So I'm fine just driving down there on a Sunday instead of networking. But networking is important. And I think it's good business. And as you said, Bob, both you and Anthony, about, online Zoom was something that it opened up a whole new aspect of meeting different people. We met people from Pennsylvania, we met people from wherever. But when it comes to networking, and I want to start with you, Anthony, because me and you we were having a beer together at that March Madness event at PJ's, and Anthony, it's great to have a beer with, because we both bitch, and it's all right. We both have we both bitch about shit, and we don't get offended because we not, But what makes you a good networker, Anthony? Because what do you think why are you a good networker?
I'm a good networker because I listen. I go out to events. I talk to as many people as I can. But when I say talk, I'm not trying to control the conversation. Just as you've done this interview, you ask a few questions and allow us to open up. That's how I handle my networking. Tell me a little bit more about you. Oh, how'd you get into that business? Just like you do with this podcast. So that allows me to a allows the people to take the shield down, thinking, "Oh, what's this guy going to try and sell me?" And B, he's really not interrupting me. He's listening to what I have to say. And that just turns into good connections, good business, good everything. So to me, a successful networker is somebody who knows not, 90% of the time or 80% of the time, just be listening, asking the right probing questions. That's what works for me.
How about you, Heather? Because you earlier said you're a little bit uncomfortable with networking a little bit because you're new to it, but you went out and you joined Harvest and you joined different groups that will help you with that. So, I'm sure you're coming along, and I've met you. I went to your ribbon cutting. It was a great event. Really good sandwiches. I love when there's a good sandwich. I hate when you go and there's just like a charcuterie. I'm like, that's it. Give me some meat. I mean, charcuterie is meat, but it's just like a pepperoni usually, unless they have good prosciutto. So, Heather, what makes you a good networker? And if you feel you're not a good networker, what do you think you want to learn to be a good networker?
Well, I think I've grown in that department a little bit over the last year. Like you said, I'm generally kind of a shy, quiet person unless I really know someone. But I think I want to make a genuine connection. I don't want it to feel like, do you have your, can I have your card? Here's my card. And then on to the next person, almost like speed dating. I really like making a genuine connection. So I really feel like I know you, I could refer you comfortably to other people. So I would say that that's, wanting a genuine connection helps a lot with networking for me.
How about you, Bob? Because I think we met online.
Yep. So yeah, I think for me, it's being curious. I love finding out. Like, I am fascinated by both, Heather and Tony on sort of their path and how they're doing it. And I can't wait to connect with Heather differently just around the entrepreneurial and my old restaurant experience. So Heather, expect a call. But to me, being curious about the past, I love people's paths, from where they went, how they got to where they're going. And usually once you sort of hear and care about them, it's really easy to find ways to help. And so if you can use that curiosity and flip it into helping, that's where I leverage.
Okay, I want to go back to Heather for this next question. This is coming off the top of my head. I'm going to ask all of you. But, you said about people you make connections with, then you want to refer. Okay. What is a characteristic or a trait, whatever word we want to use, that someone has to have for you to refer them? Because the problem is, if you make a referral and then someone doesn't call, they go, oh, they refer, and they go, well, Coop, I haven't heard from him, and you're like, oh, what the hell? Or they go up and they do a crappy job. It makes you look bad, and I think for me, it's a lot of accountability, and you can all use that if you want, but I think but for you to refer someone, or, make a referral or introduce someone, what is a characteristic that you think they need to have?
If I get if I feel that they're honest, honesty, and plus I don't just refer just from someone I just met. I want to sit down or one-on-one, learn more about them, and just see how they are across the board, from family, to their business, and everything in between, before I go and refer them. I don't refer people lightly. I don't, it makes you look bad when you refer someone who doesn't come through and complete the job properly. So I'm not one that will refer right away. I want to get to know you, and but definitely honesty is probably, if I get the vibe that they're, a bit of a storyteller, chances are I'm not going to refer them.
How about you, Bob?
Yeah, I think I've done this a long time, and so in my head, I think Heather nailed it. You want them honest. You want to make sure you know them and they're going to be responsive. So I think Coop, your answer is right too. The piece that I have learned is, the busier I learn that somebody is, the better referral they are, because turns out that they tend to be way more responsible. They tend to be busy because they are good and they are honest and they know how to make things happen. So I'm talking to people, if I see people like going, oh yeah, I got nothing to do tomorrow, like I'm not sure that's my person. Like that's, my people tend to be busy.
Okay. How about you, Anth?
So, uh, first off, I have to size them up, meaning that, there are people that all they want to do is what's in it for them. And they don't give back, they don't pay it forward, as Bob mentioned. And they're just quick to say, can I make a quick sale off of this person, this introduction? So I don't make those type of introductions. I usually do things to see who's reciprocating. Let's go social media. If I see someone who is helping other business owners, other contacts, connections, by reposting their post or liking things, that they're going out of their way to help that business grow, that to me says they're in a sharing mindset and they have a positive attitude. And I'm more comfortable making an introduction to them than somebody who's just like, well, you can like and repost mine, but I'm not going to like or repost yours, because that to me just says me, 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 me. And that's not a good introduction, because we've all been hurt. We've been blindsided by those. And so I'm very careful. They have to really earn their right. And I'll put the burden back on them saying, hey, we're LinkedIn. Let me know who you would like to be introduced to. And then let me see where they're at. Because if they're not interested to roll up their sleeves and expect me to be their marketing person, that doesn't work either.
Okay, it's funny because we're leading into LinkedIn. It's funny. I need to like more on LinkedIn, but the only reason why I don't like a lot of posts is because then I always get a notification. Like on Facebook, if you like someone's post, you don't hear that someone else liked their post. But if you like someone's post, all of a sudden you get that damn notification. Such and such liked a post you liked. I'm like, I don't have time for that crap. But so we're going to talk about LinkedIn, and I like LinkedIn. I really enjoy LinkedIn, but I bitch about it like anything in life. I'll love something and I'll bitch about it. And there's always something I pick out that bothers me. And I was on LinkedIn this morning, and I saw this person who all they did was say, I have this going on. 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 I'm like, why don't you just put, excuse the language, you're a fucking narcissist, okay? Because that's what it is. It's like, oh, I have this. Okay, that's great. You're writing a book. Well, gee, okay. I don't sit there and go, hey, this, and so that bothers me. I think the blowhards. Now, if someone sits there and it's like, okay, with LinkedIn, when we all have different functions, like Heather, you put up reviews. That's awesome. And the funny thing about reviews is I like to read reviews, not because someone's saying a good thing about you, but it means you're getting business. And to me, that's what it is, because you're not, because it's hard for people. It takes a lot of people to write reviews. Not everyone does it. So for you, when I read your reviews, I'm like, this is cool, because it means you're doing something right and you're getting business. But and you don't talk about yourself like that, But that's one thing I hate. I hate when people just talk about themselves. And I'm like, didn't your mom teach you, have a little graciousness? I've done a lot. I don't sit there and go, hey, I just did this. No, I'll promote this show. I'll promote my comedy shows. I'll promote my podcast and stuff like that. But what bothers you? And we'll start with you, Anthony, because we had a chat about this in the bar. What is something that just bothers you about LinkedIn? And be honest, because you know what? The people might be doing this and they don't know it pisses people off. But what's something that bothers you?
So it not necessarily irritates me, but it just gives me pause, if you will. I'll have people that I have a connection with, and they'll put something up. Now, I'm a big one of reposting with a comment, because to me, it's like the old school chain letters. The more I can repost theirs, that's going out to people that I know that they don't know. And then people that in that reposted group may repost it a third time. So what'll happen is they don't come back and repost or share mine. And I'll sit there, and every so often I'll call them up and I'll say, hey, I've reposted a couple times of your stuff, and I'd appreciate, it'd be nice to reciprocate. Oh, yeah. And then it never happens. So after a while, I stop reposting, and then I'll get a call or an email or something saying, hey, did you miss my posting on LinkedIn? I didn't notice you reposted. And I said, I told you, you guys scratch my back. So some people there are people in business who understand business, and there are people in business that shouldn't be in business, and they're not business people. And good business people is, hey, as Bob mentioned earlier, giving back, paying it for whatever you want to do. I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine, but if it's all about you, I don't have time for that anymore. So that irritates me.
Okay, how about you, Heather? What? But because Heather's quiet, man. But she's got something's boiling in her right now. She's like, "Oh, I got something to say."
Someone sending a connection request. Soon as you accept it, right into the messages. I have this service. It's going to blow up your business. And then when I don't respond, they'll keep responding back. Hey, did you get my previous message? Like there's no warm up. There's no contact other than here is my service. This is what you need. We'll get hooked up and sell you my service. Like, at least, get to know me a little bit before you go and slide in there with your sales pitch.
Okay, how about you, Bob?
Yeah, Heather, you speak my mind. Those DMs are just awful. Let me go a different direction then. I need to understand the why when people are posting things that they do. So to me, it's a like, no, trust sort of LinkedIn is. So like, how do I get to like you? How do I get to know you? How do I do those things? In my end of the world, in the construction side, construction companies are great like this. And the one I used to work for used to do it. They'll post, look at our big building we just built. And I'm sort of like, why do I care? Like if you want to say it's important to you because you've just done Penn Pavilion and you're saving lives with cancer, okay. But I need the why. The braggadocious piece that you should talk about, Coop, in my world, I always am wondering, like, Tony doesn't go on, oh, I just saved this person $1 million. Here's whatever, or I just got this person set up perfectly. And to me, that just lends, false credibility when they start sort of that brag piece.
Okay. Now we're going to start with you on this one, Heather, because this is a question, because you're on doing 75 hard. So I always ask, and I say before, I don't read business books. I've read The Tipping Point. That's it. People love them, and that's fine. And I respect it. They bore the shit out of me. I just don't, a lot of I go by the seat of my pants anyway. I'm not a good planner. But what is a business book that has made a difference for you? It could be one that you're reading now that is making impact, or we'll start with you because you have to read in 75 hard. So what's a book that you've read either in the past or lately that has made somewhat of an impact on you?
So right now I'm reading Seth Godin's This Is Marketing. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm learning a lot and switching my mindset. It's not marketing isn't Google ads or Facebook ads anymore. It's it's telling your story. It's about brand and who you are and what your mission is. And this book is, I love it. It's helping me really focus in on what is my story and what is my mission.
Okay. How about you, Anthony?
A lot of things, I don't have a particular book that's motivated me. I'll stay apprised of trending issues, whether it's Social Security changes, tax issues, things like that help me become a better person. I would say there's a book out there called The Talk, and it's an emotional book. And basically it is, parents don't talk to their adult children about money. And what happens is when those parents pass or have to go to assisted living or whatever it may have to be, the adult children are sitting there going, oh my gosh, I didn't know this, I didn't know that. So it helps tell the adult children, look, mom and dad are probably baby boomers or even, World War II guys, and they never talked about money, and you need to approach them. So it's an emotional thing to keep families, because too much money gets lost because of medical bills or because of taxation or poor planning. And this just because people are afraid to talk about money, they think it's rude. So that book is an emotional driver of how you need to break the conversation. It's difficult, but you're a family and you need to communicate how to keep those financial resources in that family for generations to come.
Okay. How about you, Bob?
Yeah, so quickly, I'll do two. One was early on in my career. I read Tom Peters' In Search of Excellence. It was just a really good storytelling book around excellent companies and how they did well. It really sort of formulated my management style. More recently, Donald Miller did a book called Story Brand. He was an old film writer, company Coop, I forget what that's called, but he wrote scripts. And he learned that there's basically 7 stories in the whole world, and like everyone knows, and he was able to turn that sort of into a marketing book and how you continue to make the client the hero in your story and not you. You become the helper, the Sherpa kind of piece. And that was super impactful for me. So I really like Story Brand.
Okay. Well, here's the final question. I ask this every week. And it's funny because Heather, you have kids in college right now, so this will be something that you probably are going through. Someone comes up to you, they could be, Tony, it could be someone young in the financial world. It could be someone going to a trade school. It could be someone getting out of high school. It could be someone just switching jobs mid-careers like Bob, you've jumped, so there's people that, and they come up to you and they go, how do I make this shit work? How do I make it? Like, what do I do? What advice can you give me to sit there and just, give me like a path of what I should do going on my own or just being in business or life? What's some advice you would give them, Anthony?
As far as a specific thing or
just something that when someone comes up to you, if I'm talking to you and I go, hey, Tony, you're successful. You've done good. What got you there? What made you successful? What kind of advice would you give someone to sit there and tell them how to be successful?
Oh, okay. So I would start with what's your vision? I mean, why did you pick that? Why did you do A instead of B? What's your driving influence? What are you going to do when it goes bad or goes sideways? Because it always does. And do you have the financial resources to weather that? Do you have the internal stamina to weather that? What's your driving passion? And if you want to be successful, if it's a nonchalant thing, then you're not going to be successful. Pick something that, as you asked earlier in this session, what gets you up in the morning? So that's what I tell them. If you want to get to there's going to be some issues. How can we address those issues and let's have the conversation. And if they're not willing to do this, it's not going to happen. I'll tell you quickly, answer that. It's like a guy years ago said, I want to be able to retire at 55 and I'm going to need to make X amount of money. And I said, well, if you do that and you get a 10, 11% return, you're never going to make it. He goes, well, make the number 30. I said, you're not going to make 30, but 30 is going to make you don't put the hard work in. So that's what I say to people.
Okay. How about you, Bob?
Someone told me once, and I've stayed with it, and I've given it out as advice when people have asked, is get really comfortable around being uncomfortable. I just, I obviously have changed careers, but to me, whether it's the networking room or whether it's whatever, usually the uncomfortable things is what makes you grow and what makes you better. And so if you can get comfortable and keep putting yourself in those situations, you tend to put yourself in great spots.
How about you, Heather?
I would say to watch who you surround yourself with. Get into rooms with successful people, people who have done what you're trying to do, and reach out to them. Look to them for guidance, mentors, that sort of thing. I have met many people in the last couple of years that I've reached up to, that have helped pull me along. And I think that has been probably the most important thing in starting business.
Okay, well, this has been great. You guys all know each other, and now you all know each other. I didn't know any of you didn't know each other. Anthony, how can people get in touch with you?
I'm on LinkedIn. I have a website, DeGerolamo Financial Strategies.com, all kinds of articles, information on that. And they can reach me that way, either through my website or through LinkedIn.
How about you, Bob?
Well, first, there's no way I'm ever spelling your website name correctly, Anthony. Just so you know, I will have to find you on LinkedIn. But yeah, find me on LinkedIn. All my email and contact information is under contact on LinkedIn, so that's usually the easiest place.
Okay, how about you, Heather?
I'm on most social media, Facebook as Heather Jones, LinkedIn, Heather Jones, Instagram, Mr. Appliance Philly, and our business Facebook page is Mr. Appliance of Runnymede and Southeast Philadelphia.
So people, reach out to them if you need their services, and email me. My email's the Coop Tank at yahoo.com. If you want to sponsor this show, hit me up. You know, the people who are on this show are industry shakers and movers and leaders in the South Jersey and Philadelphia business world. And the people who watch the show are also pretty much shakers and movers. So what does you want your product to get out to those people? Isn't that the people you want who can spread the word? Like Anthony said, reposting, people say, oh, I know about Mr. Appliance, or oh, I know about this. So you can do it that way. Also, go to coopertalk.net. That's my other podcast, episode 1004 will post this week with Buck Dharma from Blue Oyster Cult. And May 4th at the Soundplex, it's the premiere of Speakeasy Stand-Up. I'll be hosting a show with Anita Wives, who's been on Seinfeld. She's been on Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, and Chip Chantry, who's one of the hottest acts in Philadelphia. So check them all out. Go to SuiteRecording, SUITE recording.com. You want to hit up Joe Gangemi. I almost called him Joe DeGerolamo. I almost said your name, Anthony. You want to hit Joe Gangemi, the best producer around. You hit up Joe or Rich the sister. They know what's going on, so email them at hello@suiterecording.com. And that's about it. Look at my past shows. Rate me on YouTube. Look up the Coop Tank, and I will talk to you all next week.